Okay, and we're live. Hello folks, and welcome to the regular Dev Q&As, Edgecase Games, here to talk about Fractured Space. With me this week, we had a slight change of plan. We've got Mitch, new designer at the studio.
Hey guys.
You might have bumped into him on the forums.
Yes.
Ludologist?
Yeah, that's correct.
What does that mean?
One that studies games.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so
I see.
Very designer-like.
Okay, no, perfect, that works. So, we've got plenty of good questions from you guys already. So we've got I've got my professional-looking list here, but do throw out questions in the chat, and our producer Crispy will pick some out at the end. So I guess there's one place to start, right? So Mitch, you're new to the company. I've been here a few weeks now, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
About 6 now.
Oh, about 6. Well, time flies. Time flies.
Absolutely.
Where are you coming from? What have you worked on? Where?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
I know you worked on one game that I'm
yeah, just out there. My most recent game has been Alien Isolation with the Creative Assembly guys, which has been a fantastic experience actually. But before that, I've actually had probably 8 years in the games industry alone, starting from the ranks of Sega QA.
Right.
Worked at Free Radical Design, and eventually that went down, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I worked on some pretty cool games such as what's that game called? It's been a little while.
That one, I know that one.
Yeah. Operation Flashpoint Red River was a tactical squad squad game, which was pretty fun. Dirt Showdown.
Cool.
Yeah, so been around.
Cool, it's quite the CV. I know I've nerded out with you about Alien Isolation plenty. And your first day, I sort of accosted you at the kettle, I remember.
No, it was awesome though.
I was a huge fan.
I get it quite a lot actually.
Oh, I bet you do. No, I was a huge fan of that game. So that's kind of I mean, we're not in anywhere near the same genre, but it's that space setting, that sci-fi world. I guess it's quite a cool space to work in.
Oh god, yeah.
Creatively, right?
Yeah.
I guess certainly from an art perspective, but I guess maybe that could feed back into design. I don't know. Maybe that's just me freewheeling. But so what is it that sort of attracted you to Fractured Space?
I mean, grand scheme. I played a game originally, and I was actually blown away by the by the tactical advantage, the tacticalness of the Hontai game. But what actually really drew me more was the potential of the scope of the Hontai game that we're doing. Not in terms of just the map design and stuff like that, but in terms of ships and weapon systems and the interplay between each of these things.
Go for that capital scale.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been recently playing as a brawler, and it's just really interesting that obviously it's got this the weak points at the front and back, so you have to really be careful in terms of positioning. When you're luring in an enemy in, you have to make sure that you're completely lined up, because one wrong move, or you do the angle too soon or too quick, or too late, you're going to be really in for a world of hurt. So it's been quite fun to get against another brawler who is of the same I guess caliber of skill as I am, which may or may not be as good as you guys at home, but I'm hoping I can compete at one point.
Well, you've taken me out a few times in internal playtests.
That's one does.
How you everyone pretty much does. Chaos is most definitely not OP internally. So I mean, yeah, how are you getting on with playing the game? I mean, what level are you is the important question.
At home or here?
Live game, real game.
I think I'm like level 11, 12. I've raked over 200 hours, I think it is.
You're above me already. You've played 6 weeks.
But that's just at home, not including the hours I spent here just coffee kicking.
This is outrageous. Outrageous. Brawl is your thing, is it?
I tend to usually go through stages. I think like everyone else at home, you try it out. I guess right now it is being the brawler, but before that was a frigate, then a sniper, and then I guess the Corvette.
Corvette's a good starting point.
It is. I'm a big fan of just sort of sitting back a little bit, healing people, just trying to observe the space, see how things work and the interplay between the ships. And obviously it's a public game, so there's a lot of strategy involved in a lot of public games, but that's what we aim to achieve. Using the systems and weapons and the ships.
Could be a bit of a playmaker in the Corvette, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's quite nice, especially if you link up with a flagship or a brawler as well, or any of the heavy ships. Just dominate a lot.
Absolutely, Corvette and brawlers.
Oh yeah,
combat.
Yeah.
So what have you been? Obviously, as I say, early days.
Yep.
So I'm not going to ask you nitty-gritty questions about exact values or anything. But what is it you've been working on the first couple of weeks?
Oh god, it's been quite diverse, which has been really nice. Really, the tasks being given to me have been very good way of settling in, learning a lot of the system, not only from a gameplay perspective, but also editor as well. I guess one of the most earliest things I've started doing was as the best around the turrets and the hard points. And for you guys at home watching, so our weapon system's all based around small points in space called hard points. And these are somewhat separate from the ship itself. It's not actually embedded in a ship hull. And that allows us to actually swap out different turrets for different purposes and aesthetics. But what that also means, though, is that there's more data being sent across the network. which can increase lag or we always want to kind of minimise that as much as possible.
So weapons and systems exist separately from.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah,
that's possibly right.
In very layman's terms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, thank you. And so what we've been doing is kind of correlate them to like basic collections. That was my first point of call. And that way it just mitigates a lot of, or simplifies the data that's actually coming through the net. So that's one of the small optimization we've done here at Design. But after that, I've been actually messing around with loadouts from learning more, coming on my own, as well as taking ideas from the community as well. So and that's been fascinating. We've gone through maybe 9 ships so far in the early days, but obviously they're meant to be tested, and hopefully we might get a good reaction from not only the head bosses here, but also you guys at home.
So it's ship systems, weapons, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
That's
exactly
cool.
right.
I know I've seen you working on my beloved carrier, so I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. Hopefully, I can prove that wasn't a fluke the other week. So let's fly. We've got, as I said, we've got loads of questions coming from you guys on the forums, from social media. We can't answer all of them unfortunately because there were loads. But let's get a few out of the way, and then we can throw open the floor. So. First question from, do forgive me if I'm mispronouncing any of these names, but first question we got from Zaire. Zaire. Again, fairly top line, but what cool ideas / mechanics have you thought of that you want to implement in the future? So any ideas, got rattling around up there?
There's one idea for a ship I really like to try out, but obviously this comes in effect of the new, hopefully a new map, and with destructible asteroids and so forth. And that is a ship that can, what's the word? I've got the name of the word now.
What does it do?
It basically manages to phase shift. Phase shift from Star Trek.
Right.
It basically manages to maybe go through collision on asteroids only and stuff like that. I don't know how well that will actually work in general scheme of things, but I think it'd be a very interesting dynamic to go, okay, I'm phase shifting through a asteroid to come in and ambush you from that kind of way,
that's cool.
And also kind of get away from ships.
That really mix things up, wouldn't it, with the geometry and the levels
That's
and stuff?
exactly right. So maybe in the early days, when you've got this particular ship in question in the lane, you might go, oh my god, there's a lot of destructive asteroids that might kind of destroy them out a little bit more. So you have a kind of, I guess it's like kind of a ship, environmental type ship. It plays around that environment, and it encourages, I guess, team play to destroy some more aspects of the cover to mitigate this phase shift and stuff like that.
I guess that'd be interesting for strategically as well. You'd really flush people out of cover with that.
Absolutely. It'd be quite fascinating. Maybe, especially during escapes as well, then you come in, it's like smack.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you always, the players always know where this person's going to be. I think, the phase shift I never foresaw the phase shift being completely cloaked. You always see, kind of shimmering kind of thing. You see where it's going to go, but then, you pop back in, in this physical form, and hopefully trying to lay on some servos.
Could be a cool,
thank you very much.
Idea. I'll keep an eye on that one.
I hope so.
Like I say, we obviously we never sort of know what's coming exactly in that sense, but it's so much fun to just throw ideas out there.
Of course. I mean, some of the weapons designs we've been doing here in the loadouts, we thought, oh, this is really cool on paper. Let's get it in game. Just mess around in the editor, and you do the work. You try and balance it the best you can. You play, and it's like, you know what, it's just not going to work, and you take it in your stride and go, okay, well. It's not actually adding anything, so you
never know until it's in game and you've tested it, right?
Of course,
it's that's why we test stuff, right? I guess.
Absolutely.
Cool. So that's any other ones out there, or you want to go into? Or?
Any other weapons? I think one more weapon I would like to see happening is I think I've got a Honda 17-page document just full of ideas. I'm trying to pick up just one. I think there's one we're looking at right now, which is basically it's a AOE around the ship, and basically a detect AOE around the ship. So you hit it, it consumes energy, and as you basically allows roughly safe passage through a small section of space. So any maybe cloaked ships can't basically jump in or come near you at that particular range. So that could be quite an interesting.
Area denial type.
Exactly, that's the idea. So hopefully maybe an assassin or a cloaked ship can has to bypass that, do something else, or just wait a little bit. And that, and for strategy, those kind of time intervals can be very really vital in Casual Lane.
So it sounds, and these sort of controlling aspects. It sounds really interesting. Sort of control the battlefield a little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds super interesting. I definitely. Look forward to hearing more on that one. Right, we'll fly into Jiraiya Nemo. Now I've actually sort of amalgamated 2 questions here from Jiraiya. So it's I'm slightly paraphrased, but for healing and support abilities. So at the moment we've got single bursts of healing and heal over time effects.
Yeah.
Are there any other deployment methods on the sort of that are being thought about, such as small craft? And we've got small craft and we've got beams.
Yep.
Some ideas that Jiraiya's thrown out would be he's given the example of something that would be like a boy that does a AOE healing range, something like that. And I think again in a similar vein with different questions from Jiraiya again. Any alternate loadout options on missiles, as in different launcher locations? So the flagship's got 2 separate ones, doesn't it? So I guess the question really is about will sort of future systems and future weapons, will we be seeing, I guess, more of the same, more missiles, more beams, or are there other delivery methods that we're thinking about? I guess we kind of covered that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Yeah, we actually are. In fact, we're creating we're just messing around with a common system right now where it's a deployable buoy. Any enemies that any friendlies that go in there can actually heal themselves. So we're just kind of roughly testing it out. Whether or not that goes ahead fully or not, we don't know yet. But that is being created right now, actually, which is pretty awesome. And as for the weapon system, the latter section of your question, I guess, no, we want to create systems that actually have its own originality. So it's not just how the weapons are fired, such as the radial or the dorsal types. Each missile system will do something. I guess something more profound than just some kind of aesthetics. It's not to say that we can change the aesthetics as well as in the correlation with any weapon system, for instance. But we're all trying quite a lot of new stuff, which is really awesome. Missiles again, we are looking later on to actually further expand the functionality we have in the missile system, what we can actually achieve, such as, for instance, off the top of my head is maybe a cluster missile where it's a singular missile up into a certain range, and then it might explode and then create smaller variants, and then something like that. So that's actually quite fun. But yeah, that technology we have right now is not being in what we have right now, but we're hoping to get it quite soon.
I guess it's like anything, isn't it? We iterate things, and then you create new sort of spins on stuff, and then it's
it's all about in game development. It's all about utilizing most efficient use of your resources. So, for instance, I guess in the new starter ships and the new ships that are coming online, such as the Ventura, for instance, these they have missiles which can also stack certain elements, which is quite nice. I think it's the Falcon missiles that stack slow, for instance. So we can get a really profound effect with these missile systems that utilize, again, these Dallas effects. Just to reiterate myself.
Sure. I didn't actually know that about that. Sharon, I wrote the blog about it tomorrow, so I've just learned something.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. Right.
I think that's.
I'm definitely playing Ventura. I've got that as well. But we'll have plenty more information coming tomorrow on the Ventura, guys. So there's a blog post going up on that tomorrow. So keep them peeled for that one. Cool. So I think that sort of covers the idea about as I say, delivery systems, for want of a better word. We've had a couple from Commandos. Hey Commandos, another long-time player. Yeah. So again, I'm going to group a couple together here. So the first part of the question was: is the mutual the brawler? Here we go. Is the mutual pull effect on the brawler's harpoon going to be a thing? Will we be able to have? So essentially, will the brawler be able to drag himself by anchoring a heavy? Second part of the question would be: are there any changes essentially coming to the carrier to, as Commandos puts, make it better? I think these questions we can put together as a sort of a general balance thing. So when it comes to balance, is obviously as we're in early access.
Yeah,
we've got so many different ships to play as. Everything's very iterative, and balancing is what we do a lot of, right? We spend a lot of time balancing. I don't fully understand the process, so I'm quite keen to know. So when it comes to, say, a ship we think is overperforming, how much of that comes down to data we collect? How much of that comes down to just a gut feeling, for example? And of course, where does player feedback come into this as well? Because obviously we use a lot of that. So could you just talk us through the process of how to balance stuff?
Yeah, no, that's a very comprehensive question actually, and it's a very hard thing to get right. I mean, I don't think there's any. No, it's a good question. I don't think there's any set, waterfall type method of actually getting the right balance. So I guess how I usually start off what I've been starting off with is comparing what we have currently to stock and stuff like that, and trying to see whether or not the weapon system itself matches the behavior of that particular given ship. Obviously, we look at DPSs and other mathematical equations to make sure that they actually are in line. But more importantly, in terms of balancing, is not necessarily creating equivalents. whereby you're only doubling up damage and double up time to create. I think because that technically speaking doesn't really add as much as, for instance, creating a certain type of dynamic, whereby you can create. How can I word this? Where you can create, I suppose, really interesting, intricate systems. And you can balance the numbers in such a way in which it never feels completely overpowered.
Sure.
And again, I guess as a layman's type of overall.
Sure.
But yeah, it usually comes. So obviously we have the mathematics as well. So you kind of roughly have a vague idea of what you want to go for, what kind of mechanic you want to see in the game, what kind of dynamism, whatever it is, and kind of counters you foresee against a particular ship or system. And then obviously you play test, and hopefully with friends and friends in the office first and so forth, just to make sure that it kind of rolls out quite nicely. And we think we can try and mitigate as much data, mitigate as much problems as we possibly can.
Yeah, exactly.
Given the time, resources. So obviously when we give it to the guys at home, you guys can be roughly safe and certain to say that we tried our best at just given the time and reasons we had to make sure that your feedback is completely valid and warranted. Because obviously we don't want to be saying, oh, you kind of already knew this anyway, because that's just wasting our time. That's wasting your time at home. We're just going to go, okay, cool. Jeremiah says this, or Commando says X. What is this? And you go, okay, that's really interesting. Actually, that's a good way of taking upon that. And basically, the more eyes we see on the system, the better data we get back. And then it kind of goes back and loops again until hopefully we get the right balance that we need and deserve.
We settle down on things, yeah. It's kind of like, I guess there's another factor in there. That's a sort of, and this has just occurred to me now. Again, I'm no genius. I might be wrong. I'm no game designer. But I guess like as you make tweaks behind the scenes, I guess that'll affect player behavior and play styles, which I guess feeds back into that, or is that?
Yeah, exactly. That comes down.
Say you took a lot of damage off the brawler.
Yeah.
That will affect how people play the brawler. Would that be a consideration? Am I?
Oh no, you're precisely right. And yeah, you betcha. I mean, when you're designing a ship or any other given system in video games or anything else, I guess in life, is you're trying to foresee what it is that you actually really want out of the player, what kind of ways you can motivate certain things, but also you want to give it some kind of grace in terms of elegance, so that the players at home or whatever can actually go, oh, this is a really cool way of actually emergence. You want to go, oh, this is a really interesting interplay between this ship and this ship. These kind of combinations really add up. This cooldown is timed correctly. Timed so that when that one goes up, I can fire weapon X or then weapon Y. So you just kind of, I guess combinations. So yeah, that drastically, but that comes with a lot of, of course, a good idea, but again, it comes with a lot of data, a lot of play testing.
A lot of feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of it. Yeah, so we had the Thursday playtest. I remember back when we first did the first few, and it was just so fascinating to watch these things that we'd built sort of internally. These I think we launched with 3 ships. I think it was Hunter, Assassin, and Flagship. I think.
Yeah, those are 3 on the first on the day basis.
Is it? Yeah, I just remember like these things that have been built internally, and just as soon as you get them in the hands of real players and you see how behaviour changes, it's fascinating. Really is.
Yeah, just like the same thing like level design, because I also have a level design background as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's the same thing. You kind of use the psychological elements of architecture and so forth to go, how can I navigate the player through this particular space?
Sure.
What can you be seeing? What can you be doing? Sometimes you could be very obvious and overt, saying go here, and the player one particular player will completely miss it. And yeah, there is a lot of overlap between, I guess, in this regard in terms of level design and game design as well.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I know. You're not doing too much level design here. I know that's really Willis's wheelhouse, but when it comes to, it must be interesting to look at level design in a 3D space. You're in space, right? It's a big empty place. I used to talk about like sort of, you can't create a choke point in space and stuff. It's just occurred to me that it might be an interesting topic. I'll have to get that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But then that's where for again one of the joyful parts of being in this job is obviously creating weapon systems such as aerial deniability or stuff like that, where you've got the mines, for instance, and maybe these mines may not be as efficient as they are right now or not. That remains to be seen. But the point still stands in that it will slow an enemy down. You go, okay, I must put on point defense, or I must target these individually, or so forth. And as maybe time goes on, we may see ships that actually fully specialize in these kind of aerial deniability ships.
But that sounds like that would make. So yeah, it's the sort of thing that sounds very plausible, definitely. So it's I mean, just to touch slightly on Commandos, because I know the carrier is something of a hot topic, and I have seen you working on it. And what's your what's your thoughts on where to go with that? What's the can we get an early sneak at what's going on with the carrier?
Sure. So yeah, I've been playing around with some of the loadouts for the carrier. Namely, we're trying to up its utility. I don't think the ship in of itself is meant to always be one that actually destroys obstacles. It's always been to be like basically an harassment type ship from long distance. So we're creating a bunch of new weapon systems and utility systems. One such one is a long-range cat mod drone. So it fires a lot more longer than, a lot more further than the Enforcer. So maybe halfway down the lane, you see your friends, you see your mates up there battling out. So, I can actually fire this cat mod drone, help them out there, and so forth. We've also been trying to play with different loadouts for its primary weapon. So basically, it doesn't rely too much on the bombers, for instance, for defense. That's been quite nice. Yeah, we're also adding hill drones, and we're just experimenting on those right now and see, because obviously a carrier should be handling, all small ships and drones.
For all weather, yeah.
Absolutely.
No, it's interesting. It's a ship. It's always struck me as a ship it's so reliant on other systems in the game, like more so than any other ship. So it's interesting to see where that could be heading. I mean, obviously we don't know.
No,
we're testing all these things out, but I'm looking forward to getting my hands on some.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I think the criticism on the carrier just shows how much love there is for it and how much potential people see in a carrier. It's like, when's it going to be fixed? When's it going to be doing this? And it's like, I completely agree. I think it can be a really, really awesome ship.
I remember it was before you started, but just before we put the carrier out there, the hype was real. The hype was real for the carrier. Cool. I think that just about covers that. So, all right, final question we've got sort of pre-lined up from the community, and it's the important one. So, I've kept the heavy hitter till the end. Comes from Zerid on Twitter. Would you rather fight 20 duck-sized hunters or one hunter-sized duck?
Thanks for the question, mate.
It's very serious.
Oh, no, sorry. Oh, my bad. I'll have to compose myself.
It's like news night.
I think it depends on whether or not. I think either the hunter or the duck scales in damage according to its size. If it does, then I want to go with the hunters. Hunter-sized ducks. I think is.
I think I agree. But if the ducks, because if the duck scales.
Duck-sized hunter-sized, yeah. Sorry.
If the duck scales, that's a big duck.
It's a lot of meat. You can have a lot of fight duck.
A lot of meat. Yeah. It's gonna have a loud quack. That's gonna hurt. I don't know if I fancy fighting a kilometre-long duck.
No, especially from the rear.
Yes. No, I think even with damage scaling, the 20 duck-sized hunters, I think for me.
That'll just keep me out. I know a few people who are scale ducks. So that would be
kilometre-long ones. Game over.
Absolutely, but then the small size, the duck-sized hunters could be quite cute.
That's true.
Yeah,
it could be cuddly at the right scale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Well, I think that just about covers the sort of lined up questions we've got. I think we've got time for a few pre-seeded ones. I think we've got about 15-20 minutes left before we have to run for trains. So throw them out there in the chat. We've got producer Crispy here.
I do have one already.
He's got a document open. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm prepared.
Here we go.
I've got from Private Benji. Is there going to be a way to add retrofits to ship? I know certain crew members already have different perks for a ship, but for instance, certain retrofit systems that decrease cooldown, fire rate, shot accuracy.
Weapon systems that specialise in cooldown?
Yes.
As in
decrease cooldown, fire rate, and shot accuracy. I don't think all of those decrease.
As in they attack enemies' stats in that regard?
I'm just reading the question.
Sure. I'm a little bit confused as to what retrofit means. If you could just clarify for us, Private Benji. I'm a little bit confused by that one.
Well, I can answer some questions. I mean, if we in terms of cooldown weapon systems and drones or whatever, we actually are experimenting on that. So we want to ask a bit more about that with new ships and stuff like that. I thought.
Well, I guess any stat is there to be
exactly
buffed or debuffed, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever's most important to whatever's most important to the game, such as resources in terms of mining or cooldowns in particular in this case, is ripe for us to manipulate and create new systems and dynamics on that. With a cooldown system, it's very dependent on the ship in which you attack. For instance, a fast moving firing ship may have on, I guess it's like a hunter cannon has a very small cooldown rate, so they'll be only slightly affected, I guess. So the DPS will still take a hit, don't get me wrong, but not as much as, for instance, a Leviathan. For instance, if you start attacking that, then obviously that's a lot more profound in terms of the cooldown rate. Could be maybe 10 seconds on top of already a 30 second or whatever rate.
I guess, as I said, I mean, I guess anything is viable to attack, isn't it? You know, it's, you know, I mean, even just attacking damage and armor is quite two-dimensional way of looking at it, isn't it? So, you know, we've already got things that, you know, disable weapons entirely and stuff like this, don't they? So it's an interesting point. If that indeed is what you meant, Private Benji, I hope so. Otherwise, we've just answered our own question.
But if you want to care to elaborate, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah. Hey, please do if we've got that wrong. Anyone else got anything?
Got a question from Fex Worldwide. Any plans to create ships with wildly different playstyles based on weapons? A mid-range sniper or close-in brawler, depending on loadout?
Oh, okay, so you mean the same ship, but depending on the loadout?
Yeah.
So it's sort of, so I guess one ship with a lot of very, very big customizability.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of working on right now, is that basically when we doing the loadouts, we have to be considerate in making sure that it doesn't go too far from the base behavior of, for instance, a brawler or a hunter, for instance, where it specializes in that particular given weapon set. You know, the brawler is, I guess, again, to go back to the brawler again, it's defined by its harpoon characteristic. So we want to still cater towards that section of the ship. Also, we can do a little bit more damage. We could do variations thereof. Any complete changes to a ship, to a loadout ship via its loadout will constitute as basically maybe being a new ship in of itself. So that way we can utilize the system a bit better and so forth. I mean, it's easy to balance a lot of stuff and make sure that the gameplay is what we want it to be. Because you just get, I guess, a
Jack of all trades sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
kind of thing going on. But yeah, I get the idea of like customization, and that's what we want to value as well within these loadouts, but within that given sphere of influence.
Yeah, I guess you don't want the ship to lose its identity, right?
That's precisely right.
Yeah, so yeah, as you say, the brawler's there to brawl.
Exactly.
You know, brawler's going to brawl, and that's kind of the take home from that thing. And yeah, so I guess the answer is a little bit.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much the sort of the TLDR there.
Yeah.
So, Crispy, anything else thrown at us?
I'm just looking right now. There's a lot of talk about forum security questions right now.
Okay, it's probably not.
Not related to what we're doing.
Yeah,
here.
probably. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, don't look at me.
Oh, there was one. Let me try and find it quickly as I'm in battle. Talk amongst yourselves, guys.
Crispy's got AFK confirmed.
Yeah, indeed.
Gonna get AFK kicked.
What a scrub.
So you're one of those guys, are you? Leave us hanging.
It was. They weren't going so quickly. Oh yeah, here we go. For those of us, this is Gnex. For those of us who aren't so fortified with our ship knowledge yet, will there be a way to look at your own weapon ranges in match?
I don't know if so. As in terms of like a showroom sort of thing, I guess.
No, like whilst you're playing, so you know.
Oh, on the HUD.
Where something is.
Oh.
If you're going to be able to. I know it's not directly related to ships, but.
Oh no, I think if I understand this question correctly, sorry, again we'll come up later. I think we are creating a small HUD element actually underneath the target reticle.
Cool.
I guess when you target a ship, and there's a bunch of icons, 1 to 6, that will kind of all like grayed out, and once you get within a certain distance within that ship, that particular icon that correlates to your ability lights up. So for instance, if you're in a 10k radius of a ship, and you have a 10k weapon, then that will light up. So you can communicate that and fire that all the time. But yeah, I think we need to probably go into the UI and actually provide more data to the new guys. Say, look, this is what the ship actually does. This is the weapon set.